When I was 15 years old, I got exposed to an organization called the Brotherhood. And this group took me in and taught me how to use the law of attraction. And what that really is how to use your brain to act as a transmitter and receiver of frequency. And they taught me how to focus that to virtually attract into my life what I wanted. They told me that I could have, be, or do anything I wanted. Well, it sounded too good to be true, you know, a very young boy. Yeah. But I did that, and I made millions of dollars before I was 18. Wow. And I went on to generate a very large, successful empire all over the world in business, and done some pretty amazing things. Best-selling books. I mean, a first-time author coming out with a book that was the #1 selling book in America. It outsold Harry Potter and the Da Vinci Code that year. It was #1 in the New York Times bestsellers 26 weeks in a row. To have Rolls Royces and Ferraris and spend time on super yachts around the world, flying the Concorde, private jets, living in 25,000 square foot mansions around the world. So to have that type of lifestyle and type of wealth for somebody with no education, no financing, no loan guarantees, no backing, no connections, how do you do that? And that's what I decided to write about. Now, I'm not a guy who's made money selling books on how to make money. Okay, right. You watch people on television, go to the store, and you buy, you know, there's one book that's out there written by a guy who went bankrupt, then wrote a book on how to get rich. And he made all his money when people bought the book on how to get rich. He wrote it when he was bankrupt. So obviously he wasn't very successful. There's other, you know, gurus on TV that sell audios and things on how to, you know, live a super successful life. And they've never done anything except sell books and audio programs on how to be successful, and that's where they made all their money. So I think the difference here is I've actually made a lot using these techniques. I know how they really work. And if you read the book The Secret and learn about the law of attraction, I think it's an excellent, excellent book, and I recommend it. But there's a missing element to that, which is why so many people haven't succeeded. Well,
and maybe this is it. Isn't it true? Many people using the law of attraction and try to attract a new car or more money failed. How do you explain that?
It is true. You know, people that were in The Secret and talked about the law of attraction, they've been on the Oprah show. They were on Larry King. And both Oprah and Larry King mentioned a lot of people bought The Secret, tried to apply the law of attraction, and unfortunately miserably failed. They didn't attract the new car. They didn't attract the better job. They didn't attract the better career. They didn't attract the big home. They didn't attract money to pay off their bills. They didn't attract a relationship that they so desperately wanted. And they got very frustrated. But the fact is, there's a missing ingredient.
What's that?
Well, if you go back to where this started, Andrew Carnegie, at the turn of the century, was the richest man in the world. He owned U.S. Steel. And he hired a guy by the name of Napoleon Hill to study the rich people in the world, including Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Firestone, J.P. Morgan, all the super wealthy, and write a book about what is the secret. Well, he wrote a book in 1926 called The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. Henry Ford saw it, went crazy. Basically said, we don't want people to know the truth. They got it pulled off the market. He edited it out, and now the watered down version came out. And then the even more watered down version was Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. That was so watered down. So people bought that in the millions, and a very small percentage actually found it to cause them to be successful. There's a missing element. So what happened was a couple years ago, I decided to teach some people that I needed people that were serious about wanting more out of their lives. People that either wanted a better relationship, wanted to find a lover, wanted to get into a husband or a wife situation or a romantic relationship, wanted a nicer car, wanted riches, wanted something in their life, but they didn't have it. So I said, okay, fine. For 2 days, I'm going to teach a seminar. First one I've ever done in my life. And I'm going to reveal secrets that I learned from the Brotherhood, from the organization I was a part of, that I was sworn to secrecy, kind of the missing secret ingredients to the law of attraction. So I held this in the Alps in Europe, figuring that it would cost a lot to get there. Yeah. And I charged $10,000 per person. So a bunch of people came. And for 2 days, I taught them the secrets of how to have, be, or do whatever they wanted. And I entitled the lecture, or the workshop, Your Wish is Your Command, how to manifest your desires. It's virtually, I wanted to teach people how to have their own Aladdin's lamp. They could rub it and a genie would come out. that would grant any wish they wanted. That sounds too good to be true, and it's great. But I said $10,000. I said, if you're not thrilled, after 3 months, I'll give you your money back. So a bunch of people came. I said, you be the judge.
Yeah.
So now, that's a pretty strong offer, because if you paid 10 grand, plus an extra couple thousand to go to Europe and the Alps for 2 days, and you got 90 days to say, was that worth it? If it wasn't worth it, everyone's asking for their money back. So I taught them these secrets and I recorded it. 3 months later, I didn't get one single person ask for their money back. Every single person told me they felt like they were pre-programmed, or their brain was tuned to a different frequency, so that when they left, it was almost like magic. They were attracting into their life things, and they couldn't believe it. They felt miracles were happening, that they were lucky. One guy, on the second day, he said, look, I have a Ferrari, I have a Rolls Royce, I fly around in private jets, I have money. I don't have a woman, because I'm looking for a relationship. After day one, he went to a restaurant. The next day, he tells the story in the event. He said, I sat there by myself. This woman walks over to me and says, excuse me, are you sitting alone? He said, yes. She says, so am I. Oh, you're American. He says, yes. She goes, do you mind if I have dinner with you? He said, she lives 2 miles from where I live in America. He said, I thought you had set this up. He goes, and I'm thinking, wait a minute here. Kevin sent this woman over. This can't be real. Of course, it was real. But that's the type of magic that can happen that fast. So I put this together in the series, Your Wish is Your Command. Einstein, pretty smart guy. Right. Thomas Edison, obviously one of the greatest inventors of all time. They both said at the turn of the century that the human brain is virtually a transmitter and receiver of frequency. They said that, not me. Medical science poo-pooed this for years. But do you know today, on the plane here from Chicago, I was looking at Sky Mall, which is the magazine, and they sell a bunch of things. Yeah. They have a device you put on your head, and you think a thought, and your brainwave frequency moves a ball on a game board. Oh, I guess Einstein and Edison were correct. Your brain emits frequency. The key is, how do you train it so that it emits the correct frequency of what you want? The secret and the law of attraction doesn't tell you that missing secret ingredient. It's the missing key. It's the element that makes this work. And so what I teach is I'll teach you what I learned from the Brotherhood. And quite frankly, these are the same techniques that members of Skull and Bones have learned from Yale University. Yeah. The Bilderberg Group, some people may be familiar with some of these organizations. The Power Elite, when you get to the highest level in Freemasonry, 33rd degree level in Freemasonry, these are secrets of these various associations and societies on how to, we call it manipulating energy. It's really just how to beam the frequency of your brain of what you want so that it will come into your life.
You know, Norman Vincent Peale, a couple generations ago, talked about the power of positive thinking. Is this the 21st century?
It's a little bit. You know, I spoke with Dr. Norman Vincent Peale before he passed away in the 70s. Cavett Robert was another gentleman I spoke with before he passed away. But there are a couple books that were written. The Power of Positive Thinking. There's another one called The Magic of Thinking Big, and a book called The Magic of Believing. Liberace, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Lee. The list goes on of super successful people who came from nothing to super success. And they all say the techniques in Think and Grow Rich, the techniques in the magic of believing, the power of positive thinking work. The problem is when you read them, it's missing an ingredient. So it's like getting a recipe to make a cake. If it's missing an ingredient, you can make it and it may taste good. And you may accidentally make it great. Accidentally. And that's what happened. So what I did with Your Wish is Your Command, the reason I called it that is you virtually have the power to command whatever you want to happen in your life happen. You have a genie that takes your orders, that will grant you your wishes. So if a person wants a better career, wants a better car, they can command it. And so